Hey there, emerging expat. You're tuned in to Let's Move to Portugal. I'm Victoria from Expats Everywhere's podcast, and I have the distinct honor of bringing you, YouTube travelers, and our resident of Portugal experts, Expats Everywhere's Josh and Kalie. Each week they'll inspire, they'll educate, and they'll accompany you on your journey to Portuguese residency. This week on Let's Move to Portugal, Kalie and Diogo Capela discuss Portugal's possible immigration law changes and their impact on expats, especially around residency, family reunification, and citizenship. To keep this podcast going strong, we've included a few brief ads. Thanks for supporting us by listening.
We're very happy that Savvy Cat Realty wanted to support us and sponsor the podcast, as we're actually clients of theirs.
When we started our journey to purchase our property in Portugal back in 2022, they came right alongside us in the process.
Savvy Cat Realty provides a highly tailored service to supporting those relocating to Portugal. Their mission is to find you the best match in continental Portugal. Their local experts will guide you through the whole process, keeping sustainability for both sides.
They have a full local team, including agents, lawyers, and engineers, making sure you are safe. And as locals, they believe fair prices are good for both sides.
And Savvy Cat Realty works with both rentals and purchases with budgets from $50K to millions, always making sure it's worth the cost.
Book a free call at savvycatrealty.com and have them on your side planning your move to Portugal.
Hey, expats and travelers alike, welcome back to Expats Everywhere Presents Let's Move to Portugal podcast. Kalie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It was a good weekend, more relaxing, I think, than it has been the past few weeks, which is nice. And then we travel this week, so always fun.
It is fun to have a travel week. Okay, so this week we finally get to bring out some news,
Yes.
long-awaited news on what's happening with Portuguese immigration. It's not all the news.
It's because you keep asking me every week, so we actually do have an update now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Parliament's back at it.
but I mean, the whole video is really
Yes.
about that, which
Yeah.
is great, and that's what I was alluding to.
Okay.
Because, like, I mean, we try to like drop little things in every week in this portion, which is the weekly welcome. But actually, this video is about immigration. So in a few minutes, we'll be getting to Kalie's sit down with Diogo, who is an immigration lawyer. Well, he's a lawyer, and they do immigration in this company. And he is actually, they're one of the leading firms. So they oftentimes get a little inside scoop on what's happening.
Right.
But
Which is helpful.
yeah, it's very helpful. It's very helpful. But first, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about this past week and kind of what's ahead. We went to Porto Coffee Week.
Yes. Portugal
And-
Coffee Week was last week, and the
I
market
mean,
was over the weekend. So
okay, so I think this might be the fourth year they've done it, and this is actually the first year that we were able to go.
right,
Like we've always
Been
been
out of town
traveling
or
or
something, yeah.
something like, but very cool to see that for, was it 10 euros?
yeah. So you get entrance for €10, and
Mm.
then with the mug, which if you're watching on the YouTube, Josh is going to show you right now. You get this little mug, and it's supposed to be obviously like more for sustainability because you get to try a lot of coffees, and so instead of doing
Yes,
like cups that
paper
you would throw
cups.
away, you just have your cup. You can wash it out, and then if you didn't want to keep that cup, you could return it for €2. But it's a fun little cup to have.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
I bought the
Kalie
tickets.
was
so
on the
that's how I
bought the
knew.
tickets. Yeah.
yeah.
And then we also got a little free coffee. What you call this? Like a one-off, a single use. There we go. That's it. And it's done by Porto's very own Vaughn and Vonnie.
We like
We
that.
had Morgan on the podcast in season 3, maybe season 4, beginning of season 4, possibly. We'll link that episode with Morgan in the description section below if you're into either specialty coffee or immigration.
Yeah, because he's an expat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
He's
lives in Porto
originally from
and
Wales, moved to Porto.
started a coffee
Yeah,
roastery.
yeah. You know, funny enough, there weren't a whole lot of Porto roasters.
There weren't. I noticed that.
I didn't see Vaughn and
No,
Vaughn
they
either.
weren't
So
there.
they just provided these single use guys.
They weren't
but-
there for the market because there were competitions and such. So, like for example, Cafe
True.
Passport, they had some of their baristas in, I think, the latte art competition. So I think some of the baristas were in the different. I don't know if it was like the competitions or the talks and such, but for the market, which was over the weekend, and we just did the day pass. You could do the weekend pass and get like a bag and a few more things, but there weren't many that were there, which is where you could just take your cup and do the different tastings. There were some,
Mhm.
but not some of our favorite ones, funny enough.
What's also interesting in the specialty coffee scene, it seemed to be actually a lot of foreigners who were involved.
Mhm.
So, for example, we saw a couple from Algarve, and one is Brendan Vanson, who is the studio coffee and of YouTube fame. So he has a quite a large channel on YouTube.
He's into photography.
He's
isn't
into
he?
photography.
So
That's what he's known for. So it's not vlogging or anything. But during COVID, he and his wife opened up a roastery.
In Lagos.
In Lagos, and it's gone quite well. I think now they have 3 outlets. Anyways, so he was there. I think he's American, maybe Canadian.
Yeah.
But but definitely not Portuguese. And then also the guy from Algarve Roasters down in Algarve. I can't remember. Are they in Vila Moura? I can't remember where they are. I can't remember where they're located. We went to their roastery some years ago.
Yeah.
And super nice guy. Chatted with him for a good half an hour back then. Didn't say hi to him this time. He was quite busy. But yeah,
okay,
so he was there.
We should probably move on from the coffee talk.
Sure.
But I do want to point out one more thing. We did meet a couple who's American who moved to Sintra.
I was going to bring them up.
Okay. Too. Yeah. He was in the U.S. military. They retired, moved over. He said that when he was in the military, the coffee was really terrible. So he was like, I want to drink good coffee. And so he got into coffee roasting back in the U.S. And then when they moved over to Portugal, decided to pick it back up. So they were there, which was really cool. And we talked to him about being on the podcast or the channel. I don't know.
I'd like to get to Sintra to interview him,
on the channel,
like a sit down interview.
So we'll do something like that because he's an expat who started a business, and as you can tell, we're coffee lovers, and he is too. So that was a cool connection to make.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so I mean, well, in other news, like usually I would ask you now, what's going on in immigration, but that's really the video. I think the only other thing to say is that Porto's top of the table.
I'm wearing my jersey today. We played yesterday.
Yeah. FC Porto versus Benfica. They shared the spoils. It was 0-0. Yeah. It was not a boring game though. Right. It was quite entertaining. But yeah, it was good to be there. It was good to be back in the packed out stadium. Big atmosphere. The result wasn't perfect, but we'll take it.
Yeah,
and
that's fine. We're still top of the league, so we're good.
And we roll into an international break, so there's going to be some international matches. So Portugal will be playing coming up, and that'll be something fun to get out and do. Either if you're visiting or you're living here, go to your local bar, pub, restaurant, and watch the game with some other people.
But it's always on regular TV. So when Portugal, the national team plays, it's always on like channel 1 or normally 1, really, but 1 to like the RTP. So so even if you don't have a lot of the fancy packages and stuff, you can always watch Portugal, the national team, play.
Exactly. Nice. Yeah. No, it's super nice.
So real quick, obviously I speak with Diogo about immigration, and we really unpack because last week Parliament met. So when we recorded the weekly welcome, they hadn't come out with the meeting time for last week. And then I found out later that day that
it was on Monday that they announced it, which is when we record these, and then the videos go out on Tuesday.
So last week we're like, no update yet, but they're actually, at that point they had already scheduled it, and they met really fast. So Parliament's at it again, moving fast. We thought it was going to be faster, I think, because in July it seemed like they were really going fast, but then they took a bit of time from their vacation, and then the recess ended, and it was like, okay, now what? But now it is a lot more meetings that are stacked up. So Diogo and I break those down. We break down what they just met about last week, what the upcoming meetings are, what you need to be aware of, how it affects you, how it maybe doesn't affect you. I would say there's a lot of talk about the D6 reunification visa, and there's a lot of scare around that, but we unpack who it actually affects, because that was what was talked about in July that didn't get passed. The Constitutional Court said it was against the Constitution, so they had to revisit that this past week. So there's a lot of talk about that, but we break down who it actually affects.
Do they make a distinction between different D6s?
Yes, how the D6 is obtained. That's what we talk about.
Okay. So that's really important.
That is really important.
Okay.
So we break that down, but then we also talk about everything else that was in the bill, the main things that would affect us as expats, and then Parliament's meeting again very soon and what that looks like.
Okay. So I think it's time to just get to that.
Yeah, let's do that, because I know it's a hot topic. So let's just go.
Let's go. We know that relocating can be stressful. Trust us, Portugal is the 5th country we've relocated to.
So it's nice to have someone helping you out, which is why we can confidently recommend Global International Relocation, which is a leading provider of relocation, moving, and mobility services.
They can support individuals, families, and even businesses when it comes to moving internationally.
I like how they're able to simplify the relocation process and they help with everything you can think of. And actually, even those things that you don't think of.
Of course, you have the immigration side of things, but there are aspects like pet relocation, shipping your car, moving household goods, and settling in that are all things they assist with. They're really comprehensive when it comes to mobility.
With over 17 years of experience and having expertise in over 180 countries, they aren't just for your move to Portugal.
So for personalized assistance, visit global.pt or get in touch with us for an introduction and to receive a personalized relocation quote. One of the most important pre-move things to consider involves your finances. Here's the cool thing. If you've moved already, it's not too late.
Yeah, that's right, because we met John a little late in our journey, but he certainly helped us make sure that we're on the right track.
John McNerney from Green Ocean Advisors is an American living in Lisbon with an office in San Francisco, which helps him have a pulse on both sides of the pond. John helps people understand where they're at before they take the plunge and move abroad.
As a financial advisor, John can help you understand your financial position no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're curious about what your realistic retirement date is or how to invest your money post-retirement.
His love for finance and the differences between US and Europe have given him the ability to guide his clients in the right direction when it comes to investing and allocating funds. For example, you might want to sell your house before you become a tax resident here in Portugal, so you're not paying additional taxes here.
Josh and I have even talked to him on several occasions about some major life events that have happened to us and how to navigate them smartly from a financial perspective. If you'd like to be put in touch with John from Green Ocean Global, click on his Calendly link below to schedule a free consultation that he provides our viewers to see if he's the right fit for you.
Just make sure that you choose the Expats Everywhere intro call for your free consultation.
Diogo, thank you so much for joining me today. I think there is so much misinformation going on right now about the law changes in Parliament. So we have a big update happening, lots to talk about. But the very first thing I want to ask you is, Parliament met, but is any of this law yet? Has any of this actually finalized?
Hi, Kelly. Actually, nothing yet. Basically, the Parliament had a meeting September 30th, and actually they have voted another time. Is the second time they vote for a new law that will be presented to the President of the Republic, and then the President of the Republic should be or should look into the law and decide whether, if he feels like it's good for him to accept the law and actually make it official, or if he just sends this law to the Constitutional Court if he's not feeling that everything there is in line with our Constitution. The last time, actually, the President of the Republic did that. He sent the decree law to the Constitutional Court, and this court has vetted the decree law. And so that's why we are discussing this all over again for the second time, and the Parliament has made another voting on this.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about the citizenship law soon. We're going to get to that. But before we get to that, because Josh and I recently just applied for citizenship. Thank you. You helped us.
You're
So
welcome.
shout out to Diogo and his law firm. But so we'll talk about that part in a minute. But first, I want to circle back to what was voted on the 30th, because this was the same stuff that was voted on in July, right? It was July?
Yes, basically, I guess 16th of July to be more precise. The Parliament has voted some amendments for the immigration law. That is only related with immigration processes, not with citizenship processes. Okay, and related with visas, residence permits, and things like that. And so, according to the government, there is a need for some changes here, and they have promoted this discussion on Parliament, and the Parliament has decided to bring some final document to the President of the Republic in order to be promulgated, and at the end, actually by August, it was not promulgated nor accepted by the Constitutional Court, as I was saying. So this new discussion is related with the first discussion that we had in July, basically. Okay, so what the Parliament is now doing is basically to take some notes from the decision from the Constitutional Court and adapting the text of this proposed law, trying to make it differently in order to pass this time.
Okay. So just to clarify, the talk about citizenship moving from 5 years to potentially 10 years was not something that Parliament discussed on September 30th.
Not yet, no. It's probably going to happen on the next month, or even at the end of this month, but they have not covered this topic yet. So it's not related with the citizenship processes, no.
Okay, so that hasn't happened, but let's talk about what's in this bill that has happened. Because like you were saying, in July, there were some things that were deemed unconstitutional, so it went back to Parliament, but Parliament went on recess, so this is their first meeting back from their summer holidays, and they have to go through all the different points of this bill. So and we're not going to talk about all of the points of the bill, because I'm sure there's a lot, but I want to talk about what really affects expats and how we can navigate that. So what are some of the most important things that our listener needs to know of what could affect them from this bill?
Sure. So first of all, regarding the job seeker visa that was actually recently created, the government now is designing or redesigning this visa to be only applicable for highly qualified professionals. Okay, so people that want to come to Portugal and during a period of 4 months trying to find a job in order to relocate to Portugal and establish their lives here, actually they can only do it if they are considered to be highly qualified professionals and having, of course, an highly skilled job that they will perform in Portugal. Besides that, also another big change here would be related to applicants that are coming from countries that have Portuguese as their primary language, CPLP community, basically, and they will need to have a residence visa in order to come to Portugal and establish their lives here. And the residence visa will be under the exact same rules as any other visa, which means that there's no differences and different conditions for these kind of applicants as they were before. Actually, since we are part of the same community, the Portuguese speaking countries, we actually reached into an agreement with all of these countries in order to make it more flexible, the issuance of the visas. But right now, the government is trying to get one step back and make it exactly the same for everyone. And what I think will happen is that it will have a huge impact on this community, basically because this visa is specifically designed, and it was created just for the purpose of these applicants to live in Portugal and gives no access to the other countries of the Schengen area. So
okay.
when comparing with other visas, this tends to be not relevant at all, nor a good thing to go. So probably the scope of this visa will be diminished in a way that will lead to basically to it will have no impact, and people will not going to apply anymore for this specific kind of visa. Besides that, and very important for me, one of the most relevant changes would be regarding to family reunification processes. The idea, the entire idea of the government is to end or extinguish the plan for people that wanted to come as main applicants for the process, and after establishing their residency and obtaining their residence cards, apply for the family reunification while they are in Portugal. Okay, so what happened is that lots of people just came to Portugal, started their lives, established their residencies here, and by the time they had a residence card, they would start the process for their family members. I guess the government is not very, or don't think this idea to be so attractive, and they don't want this to happen so often, and so they are trying to make some restrictions on the family reunification process. And so which are the main restrictions here for people that relocated to Portugal? They are, and if they are considered to be the main applicants and have the right to make the family reunification process, they basically will need to wait for about 2 years after they have received the first residence card in order to start the family reunification process for their family members. Unless we are talking about minors, okay, and or if the main applicant is the guardian of one specific person, or if it's the spouse that have a child, okay, a child, or has adopted a child with the main applicant. And also for highly qualified professionals and golden visas, they will be able to do the family reunification with no restriction on their time. So they can do the family reunification if they are in Portugal, if they follow these requirements or criteria. If we are talking about couples, okay, if they are married or not, but they are considered to be a couple under de facto partnership, for example, they can apply for family reunification, but only if they only 15 months after the main applicant has obtained the residence card, and if they can show that have been together for 18 months before the main applicant has relocated to Portugal. I know this is strange, lots of things going on here, but the main note here, and I guess this will be covered by the Constitutional Court, and it's my personal belief that the President of the Republic will not promulgate or accept this new law before sending this to the Constitutional Court, mainly because of the fact that there's a huge problem here related with the principle of equality. Okay, and why is this? Because there's a difference of treatment between the couples that have some child, okay, children, or have adopted a child together, and the ones that have no children. And in my perspective, this will lead to the failure of this new decree law. In my perspective, the Constitutional Court should not accept this difference on treatment. Okay, so I would say these ones are the main differences. There are also some differences in terms of the timeline expected for the IMA to make a decision on the residence cards. Okay, so when someone applies for a residence permit in Portugal, they should expect a decision within 3 months. Nowadays, it's what is written on the law. We know that several times this is not happening at all. But right now, according to this new law, it will change for 9 months instead, and it can be extended for an additional period of 9 months. Okay, so we expect IMA to take more time on their decision, or at least that probably people will have no way to go to court, as sometimes they do, to ask for a decision, to press or put some pressure on IMA to make a decision within 3 months, but instead they will need to wait about 9 months to do it. Okay. I guess those ones are the main differences and the main topics that this new document is going to raise, and probably the President of the Republic will need to check all of this and see which if there's some room to be accepted or not.
Okay. Well, I, of course, have a lot of questions. So I'm going to do some follow-up ones. We will definitely get to the IMA thing and then what's next, like the next steps. But first, I want to talk about the family reunification. I think there are some of our listeners who have either done this or are considering doing this. They've applied. The main applicant has been either the D7 or D8. And then the family members, so like the spouse and potentially kids, have come in under the D6. So how does that, the family reunification changes? Does that affect someone who's already done it or who's about to do it? And then what would it look like after the law has changed if it's the D7 or D8?
Very good question. So I guess it's important to explain one thing, is that there is two different ways to approach family reunification. One way that the government has not make any changes at all, and it still remains with no difference whatsoever. So I guess the government is trying to promote this way, which in my perspective is the best one and is the easiest one, is for people to come together right from the beginning. Okay, so if someone wants to apply for a residence visa, as you were saying, like a D7 or a D8 visa, they can come with their family members right from the beginning. So they will apply at the consulate on their area of residence, Portuguese consulate in their area of residence, and they will make like a family process, let's say a family application with all family members included. And in that case scenario, all of them will come together, will have the same steps together, will have the visas granted at the consulate, and after they have those, they can travel to Portugal and they will be able to attend an appointment with the immigration agency, with IMA, all together as well. So we believe this way should be the best for all of those that are listening to us. So even our clients, we are promoting this way because there's no differences, and I guess it will be beneficial for all the clients because they will not need to wait for about 15 months or 2 years to be able to make the family reunification. For those that are already living in Portugal, okay, and they want to establish the residency for their family members, there are two scenarios here, okay? First one would be for those that already have their residence cards. If they already have their residence cards, after the law is approved, they will have a window of time for about 6 months, 180 days to be more precise, for applying to the family reunification process to their family members, okay? They will have that timeline, so there's no restriction on the type of family member that we are talking about. If this the spouse, or the in-laws, parents, children, it doesn't matter. If they apply within 6 months after the new law is approved. If they do not have any residence card yet, then it will be applicable to them. So if they are not able to apply for the family reunification after the law is approved, then they will face the same rules as any other, and they will need to wait sometimes for to do the family reunification for a certain types of family members. Yes.
Okay, so if they have their residency card, then they have that 180-day kind of grace period. So if the law gets passed or whenever it gets passed, it's like if you were planning on doing it, then you need to do it now.
Exactly.
Because you already have your residency card. But then I'm understanding that if a family came in together anyway on the D7 or D8 and the kids were under the D6, let's say, the fact that they came in together already, this bill doesn't affect them at all.
No, not really, no, because they already have their visas, so there's no difference, and they will not be affected at all by this new law, since the visas were already granted by the consulate. Okay, I was talking about those that are staying in Portugal with the primary applicant or the main applicant, as I like to say, and they are staying here without a residence visa. They are staying, for example, as tourists with a Schengen visa instead, or even without a visa, but just with their passports if they are visa waivers and they don't actually need to have a Schengen visa to travel to Portugal. There are lots of families under these circumstances. Basically, the main applicant comes, applies for the visa at the consulate, they come to Portugal, apply for the residence permit, they get the residence card, and they are bringing the family members as tourists in order to apply for their residence cards directly in Portugal without getting into the first stage of waiting for the consulate to grant the visa. That tends to be a good, or it was until now a good solution, not such a big problem for those applicants. But right now, since the law is changing, we don't think it's a good way to operate anymore. So we are just promoting for people that are now starting their applications to have all family together and apply all together at the consulate as the family process. Basically, it's like that.
Okay. I think a lot of our listeners, a lot of Americans, Brits, and so on, that was more of the normal process anyway. You would apply in your home country together and
Right.
come as a family. So, which is good. It seems like this is not really going to affect them. It's more of if the family member came first and then they're trying to bring the family later on. Okay, let's talk about IMA. Everyone's favorite topic, I think, to hate IMA. So obviously we know a lot about the backlog that's happening, people not being able to get appointments, all that fun stuff, and then being able to sue if you can't get your appointment. So now the government's giving IMA 9 months to process as opposed to 3. Tell me about this.
Yes, actually, this new law is trying to bring some clarity in the eyes of the government to those that are applying or submitting some lawsuits against IMA, okay, or subpoenas, as you were saying. So until now, we knew that, of course, if the law establishes that the IMA needs to make a decision within 3 months and the decision has not been issued, then the applicant has the right to go to the court and ask the court to put some pressure on IMA, and in order for IMA to make the decision that they should have done. Right now, they are trying to make it differently. Instead of 3 months, they are pushing this up to 9 months instead. Okay. Besides, a very curious note here is that the new law actually establishes when people can go to court under the subpoena procedure, or if they need to follow the general way to go to court, or the standard way to process to make a lawsuit. Basically, when we are talking about a subpoena against IMA, we are talking a very specific kind of process that is urgent one. There's no court fees. There's no court fees. Okay, so it's completely free of charge for the applicant, and also it tends to be urgent, like I said. So everything would be faster. But for that to happen, you actually need to follow some rules and follow some requirements. One of them would be for you to show that your rights were restricted in a way that you cannot use any other way to go to court, any other type of process. And this is what the government is now putting into writing. They are saying that you cannot go and apply for a subpoena. You need to follow the standard lawsuit instead, if you are not covering some of the requirements needed for you to apply for or make a subpoena or apply for a lawsuit. Basically, that is very curious, because according to my point of view, the government is trying to introduce themselves into an area, in my perspective, like a very gray area, where they are mixing their powers, governmental powers, with judicial powers that, of course, should be taken by the court instead. So only the court should decide if you are submitting the right process or not, and not the government. The government should not introduce themselves in the normal way to operate the law and, of course, the judicial courts and rights, of course.
Okay, so do you think that this is one of the reasons why the president will send it to the constitutional courts, and this would be considered unconstitutional?
I don't think this will be the main one, but the president of the republic will definitely look into this, and will probably make some notes on the fact that the government is trying to explain to the courts how they should operate in certain ways, or in certain times, and that will, of course, will be against the rule of law when you have a division on parliament, courts, government. All this should be not mixing each other, and definitely in this case in particular, the government is trying to explain to the courts how they should operate, and that should not be acceptable.
Okay. Now, do you think this is going to cause more problems for IMA? Because it's giving them a little more time. So right now you can sue if you aren't getting the results, but now it's going to say you can't sue for many more months. So do you think this is going to cause more issues with the backlog and everything going on with IMA?
According to the minister that is dealing with these subjects, in particular, Leitão Amaro, who is the primary responsible for all these new laws and everything related with the immigration, his plan is basically to to reduce the backlog and until the end of the year, and everything will be done until the end of the year, so no backlog whatsoever after 2025. So 2025 will be the year that every pendant cases will be closed and everything will be completed. So I guess.
Do you think he's gonna make it?
I guess he's very optimistic, and it should be great. but I'm not follow how we can do that or how IMA will process all of these pendencies. But definitely they are trying to reduce the scope of the subpoenas in order to basically lead people to not going to court and avoid this route and leaving IMA more or free to just decide whenever they want and whenever they feel that they can do that. So I don't think their promises are very feasible at this time. But the main thing that I see is that IMA will probably work as they are right now, and they are making the decisions whenever they can, and not taking in consideration if the law states that is within 3 months or 9 months. It will make no difference on their minds.
Okay. Now, I think there's a visa extension that's gone through October 15th, right? Is that going to be extended through the end of the year?
We don't know yet. Actually, there's no reference on this. We expected this to happen, yes, and we are expecting this at this point. All the documents should be considered as valid until that date, October 15. After that, I'm not sure, but we thought that the government would be extending this for 6 months more, probably. Until now, we have no news regarding that.
Okay. So, do you also think that people trying to get their initial visa appointment, whether it's with VFS or the consulate, depending on how they apply, are we seeing like less appointments becoming available because of this backlog? Do you think that they're trying to slow the initial application, or not necessarily?
No, I don't think it's related.
Okay.
What can impact or the backlog might impact sometimes on regards to the appointment issue by the time people apply for the visa. For example, as you know, when you are applying for a visa in to Portugal, for example, a D7 or a D8 visa, the consulate will grant you the visa. Basically, they will stamp your passport with that visa, and as soon as you receive the visa, you can check and have the actual date on that visa, a date for your appointment with IMA. And sometimes this appointment is not being granted by the consulate because when they ask IMA for an available date, they have no response. And so, because there's no available dates right now, and so they are issuing the visas without any appointment. In that case scenario, people will have the visa, they are valid, they can come to Portugal, establish their lives here, start working and do whatever they want, but they will still need to apply or actually book. They will need to book a meeting with the IMA in order to apply for the residence permit. So until then, they will have no access to the residence card.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see how IMA does in the next few months.
Sure.
But okay, so the other couple things I wanted to chat about was, of course, citizenship. So now, since they're working on this other bill, they're not talking about citizenship. Will they have to finalize this current bill before they can meet about citizenship, or will they
No.
start to do it together?
They can do it together. There's no restriction on that.
Okay. And so we're expecting more about citizenship to come out in the next couple of weeks, maybe next month or so, because they can work
Yes.
on both.
Yes,
Because
sure.
even if the current bill goes to the president of the republic and then he sends it off to the constitutional courts, even if they say there's things in here that are unconstitutional, then they'll kick that back to Parliament. But in the meantime, Parliament can be working on the citizenship.
Right. There's lots of discussions going on every single week, and they're not even related with immigration. So lots of topics to cover. The agenda is full for the Parliament, and they can discuss everything simultaneously. There's no restriction on those.
Okay, so is it still thought that they are going to change citizenship from 5 years to 10 years, or has there been maybe some more things going on that could change that, like could maybe make it 6 or 7 years, or what are your thoughts?
I didn't see anything coming related with that. I actually think they are still going for the 10-time period. And I have some hard time thinking that this will not pass, actually, okay? Because the decision on the timeline or the time frame for you to access citizenship is not something that will implicate a certain right that can be discussed under the constitutional court. Okay, so it's a governmental decision, basically, and if the government wants this to be changed, it can do, and there's no way to avoid that. So in my perspective, this would be one difficult thing to be changed in the next couple of weeks, unless there are some pressure coming from some entities that deal with foreigners and things like that. But I'm not feeling that this will be changed. And so my advice here is for those that are actually in a position to apply for citizenship to do it right away, as soon as they can, in order to secure their process and not be under the new rules and not be affected by these new rules.
Okay, and what about when your clock starts? Currently, it's not necessarily the date on your first residency card, right? It's like when you decided to move. That's still currently, but they're looking to change that.
Yes, they will. That's also something that they can change without any restriction or any difference. So they have the right to make that change. And right now, as we speak, it's possible to submit a citizenship process, counting from the time you started your immigration process. Okay, when you are applying for a visa at the consulate, if you have a proof of that specific date, you can use that date to start counting the 5 years in order to apply for citizenship. But the government is trying to change it in a way that we will go and just start the counting from the time your first residence card was issued, which makes a huge difference sometimes. Okay, and if that is the case, it will make an impact on some citizenship processes that can be submitted, for example, within five years from the time people wanted to relocate to Portugal, and not when people actually got the card. As you know, after COVID, after the lockdown, there were lots of problems with the backlog with IMA, and people just had the right or had their residence cards issued 1 year after application was submitted. And so instead of 5 years, we are talking about 6 years or more to apply for citizenship.
Right. So currently, you don't lose that 1 year, but when it's expected they're going to change that, then you would lose it. But hopefully, it's not as backed up
Exactly.
as it was. Yeah.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
All right. Well, listener, if you find yourself in any of these situations or you have any questions about your immigration situation, then you can email me at info@expatseverywhere.com and I can put you in touch with Diogo and his team. Because like I said before, he has helped us apply for citizenship. So we've applied for citizenship, thankfully in time. And I hope, listener, if you're close, that you can get in time as well, because it is expected, I guess, in the next potentially few weeks that this will be passed, that Parliament will talk about it.
Yes,
So it
probably.
could go into effect fairly soon.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's important to note that all of these things we've talked about in this recent Parliament meeting is still not in law, like, because it still has to go through another process. So these things are still, Parliament has talked about, but they are not put into law yet, right?
Right. That's right.
Okay, so we'll see what the next couple weeks hold, what actually gets passed, and Diogo will have you back on to give more information, to give updates on what's coming and then what's also been put into law. But thank you so much, Diogo, for giving us an update with what's going on.
You're welcome, Kelly. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.